Oh, here I am. Okay, the story was the bells, I think, or was it just bells?
It's right in front of
Was it
me.
the bells? It's the bells. Good thing I know what I'm talking about. Okay.
Okay. Does the story hold well together?
Yes, it does hold well together. It's a progression throughout his life, and I don't really know how it can't hold well together because it's a story, and it follows a timeline. It's not all confusing and jumbled, so there's that. So that's good.
Does it seem true?
Yes, it does seem true, but I don't think it actually happened to him. Well, but it seems like it could happen, especially back then when bells were actually what they used to signal people. Like, it seems true because, you know, it's starting out and then you die. Well, not you, but his wife died. Just talks about sort of like their life that they had, but not in a lot of detail. So there's that. Next question.
Do any of the characters change during the story?
Yes, the main character, whose name I don't know. Does he have a name? I don't think he even had a name.
And it says, how are they different?
At the beginning of the story, he's all happy and stuff because he's just met this girl who he loves. Boring. And then towards the middle, and then next, they fall in love and they get all happy. They get married. And then after that, their house burns down, so that's really upsetting. So obviously he's gonna start to get sad because he has nowhere to live. And in the fire, his wife died, so now he's really sad because he has no house and he also has no wife. And the bells just signal death, and that's what he keeps hearing. And they also signal like other things too. So he's upset that the person ringing the bell can be so okay with their job.
Alright. Overall, how did you feel when you were reading the book?
Well, I felt sad because I didn't feel like it was my life because I don't have a wife. I'm not a lesbian. I don't think I can say that. Okay, well I did. So there's that. So it made me sad because you sort of felt like you were experiencing it with him, and that someone that you loved had died in a fire, that your house was gone, and all that crap. So I don't know. That's how I felt about that book. And this is The Raven.
What incident, problem, conflict, or situation does the author use to get the story started?
Well, he's asleep, and he wakes up by knocking, and before that he had been like off and on not being able to sleep because of this girl. Pretty sure that's right.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, I was right. Okay, I wasn't sure if I like missed something at the beginning. And then, oh, hair in my nose, hair in my nose, hair in my nose. Hair in my nose. And we're all set, no worries. Worry on. Okay. Alright, so then he hears like a knocking on the door and he goes out and there's nothing there. So obviously you're kind of intrigued, like, oh, what was that? Must have been something. And he yells out, what's her name? Lenore, and he yells out Lenore into the hallway because he thinks that's who it is, like her ghost. And something answers back and says Lenore. So then he's like, okay, that's cool. So then he goes back, and you're just wondering what just happened. So that's the beginning of the story.
Yeah, don't tell the whole story.
I'm just gonna summarize it.
Next, we're gonna describe the personality of the particular character.
Well, he's depressed and crazy. So, John Jerk. That's his personality. He's not really okay. He's obviously had a lot of bad things happen to him, and that's how he feels about his life. So that's what kind of person he is.
What movie star might you have portray the main character in the film version of the story, and why?
I would say I would have Jim Carrey play him because he does crazy very well. I have seen Ace Ventura, and that man, he can act insane. He does it very well. So, I don't know, I feel like he would just be a good sort of like crazy guy to play him. And so that was The Raven. Goodbye. Okay, so I'm gonna do the Telltale Heart now. And does this story remind you of anything that has happened to you? No. Not at all. except for that one time I read the story in 7th grade or 8th grade. That's about it. Although sometimes I do think my phone's vibrating, and it's not. It's just my mind telling me that I need friends. So that's kind of similar. Kind of like his mind, like his conscience making him go crazy. So there's that. Describe the personality of the character. Well, of the main character. Well, he's kind of a psycho. I mean, he decides to kill someone because of his eye. So, I mean, you can't really be a normal person if you have that kind of mentality, you know. So he's kind of crazy. He's kind of just he's whacked. He's a little out there. And would you rather guess the ending or be surprised? See, I feel like I don't really know. It really depends on the book. And were you able to guess the ending? Yes. Well, I mean, I had already read it, but with Poe, it's kind of like, after having read The Black Cat, I kind of expected him to either, you know, like, get caught or admit that he had done it. So, just based on the other book that I read from him. And how would you have changed the ending? Probably wouldn't have. Because it just goes to show that it's really getting to him and like freaking him out and stuff, and he's a crazy psycho person, and his conscience is just like overpowering his mindset, and he admits that he killed him, and that's how it ended. Okay. The Cask of Amontillado. Does the story hold well together? Yeah, it does. It starts out where, you know, they're kind of like friends and stuff, but he has this plan all along that he's gonna take him to find the wine and, like, keep him stuck in there. Of course, we don't know what his final plan is till the end, but we know he's gonna do something. And he makes sure that Montreso makes sure that Fortunato's like drunk and stuff, so he can't fight back and he doesn't really know what's going on. So yeah, so he has a plan in mind. And does it seem true? No. I mean, it's more likely to have happened back then than now, obviously, but I don't know if it seems true. I don't think it does. State your opinion of the main character. Do you like or dislike them? I don't like him because I don't like killers, but that's just a personal preference. I mean, if you want to like a killer, then go ahead, be my guest, but I just don't like him. Assess one of the character's weaknesses. Well, I would say Fortunato has a terrible, terrible sense of, like, reading people. Like, you know, once you start getting walled in, it's probably not a joke. It's probably actually, you know, like, this is what's happening. It's the end. You're going to die. But no, he thinks, haha, you're so funny. You can stop now and we can laugh about this. When really, there will be no laughing because Fortunato will die. So I just think he has a terrible sense of reading people, which is a weakness, because I feel like if he could read people, then he wouldn't be dead. Alright, so I'm doing the Fall of the House of Usher. So, what was the most important part of the story? Why? And was this the climax? I think the most important part of the story was when they, like, buried Madeline in the catacombs, because if they hadn't done that, then she wouldn't have been able to come back, and the story would have just ended, and that wouldn't have done anything. It would have just been a boring story. Did I already say? It wasn't the climax, so there's that. If you were to add a character, who would you create and why? I'm not sure if I would necessarily add a character, but I would make the narrator have some kind of, like, medical background or some kind of, like, medical knowledge is what I mean, so that he could say, okay, well, if she has catalepsy or whatever that is, that she might not actually be dead. So maybe we should just take the time, just let it pass, and then, you know, Roderick wouldn't listen, they'd still bury her anyways, thinking, you know, like, that she's obviously dead because she's not breathing. I just think that'd be kind of interesting. And were there clues that you believe that something might happen? Well, yes, because once they buried her, the story didn't just end, so you knew that something was going to happen with that. Like, if they had just ended the story, like I said earlier, it would have just been stupid. So you knew that something was still going to happen, and because it's Poe, obviously something's going to happen. And yeah, so that's what I have to say about that book. The Pit and the Pendulum. What handicaps or hardships did the main character overcome? If you were him, would you have been able to overcome it? Well, I mean, he was kind of stuck on a thing. I don't know what it was, they probably said it. Like a platform, blown, there's a pit, above him there's a pendulum. Basically, no matter where he went, he was going to die, or so we thought. And I'm not sure if I would have been able to overcome them, because I would have seen the rats and freaked out and probably died of fear, like what happened in The Fall of the House of Usher. That's how it sounds. Okay. What was the main problem? Well, he was going to die. I don't know, that's generally a problem. Like I said, below him there's a pit of death, and above him there's a giant swinging pendulum with nice razor-sharp edges, and really no way out until he actually gets out, but that's not the point. And how did the author end the book, and was it satisfying? I personally hated the ending. I felt like I still had questions after. I don't know if it's because I missed something when I was reading it, but I feel like it just kind of ended after he got out, and I wanted to know more. I don't know, I'm just maybe being greedy or something, but I didn't really like the ending, so I think he should have done it differently, but that's just me, but I still liked it, so. Alright, so I thought I was done, but now I'm back, and I'm just drawing this fantastic work of art to a close. So, there's my Poe video journal. I don't think you're ever going to see anything better, so I would keep this forever and cherish it. And that's about it. There's my note. That's not actually done now. Bye.